speak Spanish, everything you have said that the other person you are speaking to does not understand the meaning is never a communication. So if you like, use your high-handed Queen English. If the other person doesn't understand what you've said, you've not communicated. So you must understand this, that if we like speak the native tongue, if the children don't understand, you've not communicated. If you speak to your teenagers and they are not able to understand what you've said, you've not really communicated. And the next thing we look at is types of communication. We have 5 of them. We have verbal communication, which deals with which occurs when we engage in speaking with others, as I'm speaking to you this evening. It's a verbal. It can be face to face, it can be over the telephone, it can be via Skype or Zoom. Some verbal exchanges are formal and they can be informal. Formal when it is within a scheduled official meeting setting. Informal when it's just a chat between friends. Then we have non-verbal communication. This will be all about facial expressions, posture, eye contact, hand movement or gesticulations, and even the touchings. The way we move our body speak louder than what we say. So even when we stand before children and say, you know, when you're a Christian, you have to be happy and you are frowning your face, they understand that more than even what you have said. When you say God is good all the time and they look at your face, you are boning as if you are hungry, you are tired, you're not comfortable teaching them. They understand that. When you speak and your face, your hands, when you say, oh, attention, and you couldn't even do the attention, you are just moving your hand anyhow. They don't understand that the posture of attention, you need to put your legs, your feet in one place. So this is another mode of communication, type of communication, where your body movement, your eye contact, your movement of the wrist and the rest of them speak louder than what you are saying. Then we have written communication. It could be through emails, through memo, reports, Facebook posts, a Twitter, or any other means of writing. It aims at disseminating information in a clear and concise manner. And in this case, what we write must be able to mean what we say. So our write-ups must be well articulated. In this, I will say to us, if we use it as a method of teaching, we must be careful to avoid a scenario where we make mistakes, because these children, some of them will have these things. They read it, they keep it over and over again. Once they internalize it, it becomes difficult for them to unlearn what they have learned through written communications. And written documents, over time, you may not retrieve them. If you publish a book and send them out, you may say retrieve. Not everybody brings such this thing back. If it's a mail that you've sent to your teenager, always bear in mind the teenager will not be able to delete the message when you say, it was a mistake, I didn't intend to do that. That mail will still be there. So we need to be very careful in using this mode of communication. Then the other type is listening, where we pay attention to our teenagers as they make expressions. You know, you need to listen, pay attention to what is being said, and it's also a method of communicate, a type of communication. So active listening is key, perhaps one of the most important types of communication, because if we cannot listen to the person sitting across from us, we cannot effectively engage with them. We talk of the next, which is visual communication. We know that we live in a visual society where images speak. So visual communication deals with use of images. We think of televisions that run for 24 hours. We think of Facebook that are full of images, videos, memes. Instagram is fully using images to underscore point, and our teenagers are used to these platforms. So sometimes, even in our teaching, by next year, as we converse further, we'll be exploring use of visual aids in teaching our children and how to create some of them. Part of the things we'll be dealing on will be discussing on different platforms. There are many online platforms that have already visual images or visual aid for teaching, and how to create your own as a teacher, because these are very helpful aids to teaching children and teenagers, because images can underscore points and make them permanent in the lives of our children. The other thing we need to look at, having considered these different types of communication, is to look at methods of teaching children and things. I've outlined some of them here. One of them is inquiry-based learning. Inquiry is more or less using questions. Sometimes it will not be, it's not all about reading and just telling them this is what the Bible says. Sometimes, as we teach teenagers primarily, you may read a text and ask them of their views on these passages. Read Genesis chapter 12, 1 to 4. Ask them, what do you understand from this passage? Don't just say from this passage, you learn that Abraham was called by God. He moved as he was directed by God. God said and he moved. No, no, no. You can ask them, what exactly do they learn from this passage? So that they are the ones participating. It allows them the freedom to respond, to interrogate the text, because we must now begin to expose them to critical thinking, to find out their level of comprehension, their level of understanding of text they have read. You can also, it must not be about reading a text and asking for their input. It can also be about exposing them to realities, or you can just state a story and ask them questions. There's something we do here in our family here. Every Sunday evening, the devotion after every day is simply to ask everyone, what do you understand from the church's service that day? So we have a very young teenager amongst us. He started telling us from what he learned in the church, from the children's unit to the men's service. So we ask people to explain. By that, we try to know whether they understand what is being taught, or is it just that they are there in the service and they feel like they can come back and tell you that the service was so powerful, and the content they don't understand what is being taught. So interrogative or inquiry-based learning is exactly what is necessary. It engages students by making real-world connection through exploration and high-level questioning. You can allow them to question, raise questions, seeking for their answers. The next method of teaching is what we call time wait. Time wait or time think is a 3 to 7 second pause after a teacher says something or asks a question. Instead of calling on the first students who raise their hands, the teacher will stop and wait. This strategy is to help you so that you don't just follow the first people who raise their hands to respond. Because sometimes we have experience where you are just concentrating on 1, 2, 3 people who will just be the first persons to give answers, and you don't care whether others have assimilated what is being taught. So this time wait allows us as a strategy to give everybody a space to think through, to understand the question, to know the responses, and you'll be shocked that if you can allow these 3 to 7 seconds, instead of having 2 persons raise their hands in responding to your question, more than that number of persons can give answers to the questions you have raised. So it's also a strategy or a method of teaching children and things. The third method is what we call multisensory instruction. Multisensory, there are 5 sense organs. So multisensory instruction is a way of teaching that engages more than one sense at a time. It's necessary, you know, that children and teens, they have different ways of learning. Some of them learn by what they see. Some of them learn faster by what they speak. So when they recite it, they get it faster. Some of them, they learn by what they have written, by touch. So you need to devise a way of teaching that involves their different senses of learning. So a teacher might help kids learn faster using touch, movement, sight, and hearing. The fourth method is what we call modeling. In modeling, this is more or less a more practical approach to teaching, whereby the teacher doesn't just bring these people to class and just let them to do what they want. He models it. So kids don't learn simply by being told what to do. Teachers use a strategy called I do, we do, you do model of learning. So I do. The students or the children now what you do it. And after you have done it, we do it. They themselves are given the opportunity to do it as you do it. So all of us together are doing it together. And then you watch them individually do what you have done. So by that, you set the model. As they have observed you, they follow you, do it together, you all do it together. And then you give every child an opportunity to do exactly what they have watched you do and they have done with you. In this case, everyone is given at the last round of it an opportunity to be observed as he does it. So it gives them opportunity. For instance, you can say, let us pray. I'm teaching you how to pray today. Watch me as I pray. They watch you as you pray. Now you say, okay, let us pray together. Can you just pray? Let me hear you pray. You see them do the same thing you have taught them to do. And now you can call 1A. Can you say this prayer? Say it the same way I have done it. In that sense, they see you do it and they copy the model you have given to them. This way is one of the ways very effective in helping children to learn how to pray or to teach them. So you set the model. They are not just going to hear you say, you do this way, you do it this way. They watch you do it and they watch all of us do it together. And you watch them individually do it. So you can now pay attention to those who have slow learning abilities, those who don't understand quickly, as others have done it over time. They have seen them do it. Then themselves can also learn on how to do it and perfect their skill. The next is graphic organizers. Graphic organizers will just simply mean to use visual aids. I have said that before. Use visual aids. Like one of the retreats I participated in East Central Synod as part of the workshops for training. We had exposures of using visual aids. You know, Trinity. How do you explain Trinity to children? You can use a visual aid. How do you explain love to children? You can use a visual aid. You can use a visual aid to demonstrate the death of Christ on the cross of Calvary and the impact. There are a lot of visual aids. Some children will not understand all the big grammars we blow, but they can remember the illustrations you have given to them by the use of visual aids. So we must try as much as we can go beyond these issues of talking to them. We must develop means of using aids to learning. And these are some of the things we need to find a way of developing going forward so that our parishes will not just be discussing children matters as if we are talking to adults. We must know that children need illustrations, they need um, these things to be dramatized, they need a graphic imageries of these we talk to them. And the final strategy is what I call one-on-one and small group instruction. One-on-one. So some things are better taught in a group. Sometimes you need to meet with them one-on-one. And like the person that asked the question last time about what will we do so that our teenagers can confide in us, our children can confide in us. If all we do on Sundays is to just stand in a class of 50 and talk to them and expect them to always respond to us, come to us individually, it may not give us the result. Sometimes we need to have one-on-one conversations with them. The nature of this may not be at the same time. For instance, many of the places, our children's Sunday school ends before 8 o'clock or before 10 o'clock. And the men's service in some places will stay up to 12. So by the time you are done, you can just create space. Yes, you, Akman, come. How are you? So one-on-one interrogations, because some of these things you've already observed them. You've observed that A was sleeping when you were teaching. You tried to wake him up. He was still persistently sleeping. By this one-on-one, you should be able to find out what is the real problem with them, with him or her rather. Now, the other things, two things to go before we move into the conversations tonight is the daunt of or the pitfalls of talking to young teenagers. The things you shouldn't do. One of them, don't talk down on them. You know, there is a tendency you talk anyhow, you want to talk down on them. You idiot, look at you. How can at this your age you don't even know you don't even know the meaning of communication at your age. At your age, you cannot even define faith. you passed through children's ministry and you couldn't even define, you don't even know, you cannot quote Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. Who are you? No, you are talking down on them. What talking down on them does is that it can cause them to have low self-esteem. They don't feel the confidence they need again. You demoralize their spirits. So even when they come to class and they sit down, normally the things they would have answered, the things they had answers to, they are afraid to say because they feel like, I don't want my auntie to be harsh on me today because I don't know the answer. But when you are very friendly with them, you don't talk down on them, you find that their confidences are built up. They feel confident, they feel happy. Even when they don't know the answer, you see them raising their hands. They say it and they laugh because they know that this auntie or this or this uncle is not going to shout down on us. He will always respect, oh, you tried, but that's not the answer. Will be just be a very mild way of saying that's not the answer. You've tried. You see, you've tried. That's a good effort. But that's not the answer. Very subtle way. With the person, oh, you tried, but why can't you at this your age know the answer? You are talking down on the person. The other thing is don't lecture. Children and teens are not good for lecturing. You teach them. That's why we call ourselves teachers and not lecturers. The difference between teaching and lecturers is that lectures are delivered to a multitude with less attention being paid to the psychological attentions they are developing or they are paying to the teacher. So all your interest is, I have a 1 hour to be with you in this class, and I'm going to tell you about kenosis and what I mean by kenosis. That is lecture for you. You care less whether they are listening or not, whether they are understanding the realities. Some lecturers, their own is just their time, and lecturing is always better where the number is many. So the persons care less about the individual differences of learning age and the degree of perceptions of the respective children in the whole. Lecturing would just say, today we have this. What's the topic again? They can chorus it. Whether everybody participated in the chorus or not, it's not your concern. After all, one or two persons have said it. What is a memory verse? One person answers all your questions. You care less because that's lecturing for you. I have a student who is understanding me. That's so if you don't understand, I don't care. At the end of the month, I'm done with this. That is what lecture looks like. But we are not supposed to be lecturers. We're supposed to teach. Look at the individual child and find out whether he or she is following. And then the other thing is, don't get emotional or take it personal. Don't get too emotional. Don't get too emotional. This is very important, we note. There are times children will do things they do to you. You get too emotional. You get it too personal. They just answered you the way you didn't want, and you want to feel like it. I will address this with the last point I've written down here. You feel like shouting at them. You feel like getting angry. You feel like, if not because I'm your teacher, I'm equal to your mother. No, you are getting too emotional. You are getting too personal. If it's about insult, I can tell you this. Sometimes the child may behave as if he doesn't even know you are an adult in his class. He may talk the way you get angry. You feel like slapping him or beat him up or remind him that you are equal to the age of his father, or you equal to the age of putting him in the class, paying his fees till the day he will graduate from university. Going that way is no longer the whole issue. You must not take it too personal. Understand the child is a child. So if you want to correct him, correct him. Don't go with the whole narrative of becoming too emotional. Even sometimes, if you don't take time as a teacher, a case may happen. You may break down before children and start crying. Let me show you how it can happen. It may happen a mother, a parent brings a child, and as he brings the child, he dumps the child, and you are, Mama, please, would you mind? And looks at you and snubs you as if no one is talking. This happens. I have had those experiences. I was a teacher in a head model, and I had such testimonies from my colleagues. I can't believe that this woman brought her child. I was calling her. She looked at me, sized me up and down, and left. There's a tendency when these things happen, you may break down and start crying before these children you are asked to teach. So don't take it too personal. One of the things I tell people is that Christ is the reason for all these things. If Christ didn't bid us come, we wouldn't have gotten there. I know that some persons will have questions, so let me address other issues at the point of discussion. If you have questions on this, we discuss that. The last now says, don't be a dictator. Always learn when you deal with teenagers. Teenagers are not their age. They have what we call they are the Y generation. The Y generation has one tendency to always seek to know why you send them or why you say what you say. Last Wednesday, I was the teacher in my church for Bible study, and I have one girl who is she's not yet a teenager, but she should be in her 10 or 11 years. I could say she's getting there, but she dominated the conversation, asked many questions. She asked more than 10 questions, and I was just responding. You may finish this, and why is this so? Why is this so? Why did God not call Abraham? Why, when the father was still alive? Why they can ask you many questions. So don't be a dictator. You may say all of us should stand and let's go to the field, and a teenage girl or boy will just stand up and ask you, why must we go to the field? And you say we are going there so that it can be spacious. Why is this place not spacious for us? They want to gain reasons for every action taken around them. So, and we must not feel like we are your parents, that's why you must obey us. No, 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 no. They want to know why. So the issue of being dictators will not be helpful. And the last discussion this night is tips to effective communications with teenagers. One of the things to do is to be listening. Listen. Part of the things that will be very worrisome is if you are a teacher, you don't listen. If you don't pay attention, listen to their stories, listen to their complaints. Sometimes listening to them will even help you to know what to tell them. Because if you are just the one talking, 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 you don't pay attention to them, you finish, they go and do what they wanted to do. So we must be able to pay attention to them. Listening is key to getting the communication flow very, very well. Then validate their feelings. Validate their feelings. A teenager can come and tell you, or a child can come and tell you something, and you just don't wipe it out. Like someone says, I lost a friend. I lost a friend. We quarrel. She's no longer my friend. She's no longer my friend. I just say it's because God doesn't want two of you to be friends. You don't you just bury the whole thing. You don't care about how the person felt. So the best way to respond could be just to say to the person, "Child, I understand. That's a very painful experience. I know how you feel losing such a very lovely friend of yours." Even if you want to tell him that, well, God understands, but identify with him or her, knowing the pains, affirming that you feel the pains he or she felt is one way to help the persons not to give up, to know that this teacher, auntie, uncle does understand the realities I'm passing through, and he or she is not a stranger to my world of reality. The other thing is we must show trust. We must show them we trust their judgment at some point. We must show that we trust that they are not going to be um, object of shame to the church. So don't always make them feel like I don't trust you people. I don't even know why I'm wasting my energy working amongst you. I don't know why. I don't know what we are doing here. I don't even know. Let me tell us, the more we pass this kind of judgment, passing judgment with you people, I don't know whether this church has a future or not. When you say it, they go back knowing that the ones they look up to don't even believe they have anything worthy to offer. It demoralizes them. The next thing is give praise. When they have done the good things, praise them. Be generous. It's one way to communicate. Endorse them. Hey, you are great guys. I know one of my lecturers. One of the things I love about him is everywhere you see him, he will say, "You guys are great guys. You guys are great guys." So I remember meeting a friend 2 days ago. I said, "Ah, guy, you're a great guy." I said, "Can you remember this prof?" He said, "Yes, Donato Sokbong. Ah, you're a great guy." It's nature. So I would like us to make this as a habit. It doesn't mean that the children may not have their bad aspects, but make it the good of you to be always endorsing, praise them. Hey, guy, you are doing well. Oh, I love the way you've answered. This is a nice attempt. Even if this child didn't get the answer, oh, this is a nice attempt. That's wow, this is a good effort. Wow. If the person gives the right, oh, this is a very great insight. I'm amazed that this comes from you. Now, next time the person wants to impress you the more, he goes back, he reads ahead, he studies the manuals with him or her, so that by the time he comes to church the next time, he's going to make the lecturer, the teacher, to be very impressed. This way, we help them to grow, to feel better, to have confidence in themselves and confidence in the persons they're going to become. The other thing I've discussed about control, self-emotional control, I've talked about it. The other thing is do things together with them. If you must communicate, because we've talked about communication to be beyond words, you must do things with them. I share this often with people when I talk about this relationship. I am pastoring a church, and the first time I conducted a children elected service was CJT last year. And when I asked the girl to preach, she was like, I can't. I said, you must preach. I'm not preaching that day. And finally, when she took up the service, I knew she was very afraid of me, partly afraid of a lot of things. But after that day, we have been interacting. We meet. I come to church. I play with them, and the whole issue is that the fear, the anxieties. She could just meet me as I enter into the church, and Pastor, I have a question for you. Freely, she runs to me. After service, she will come and Pastor, I have this question. What is this? Every day I meet her, she always have a question to ask. And the issue is this: we have done a lot of things together. The closer we are, the happier we become. A song we sang earlier growing up has this: the more we are together, the happier we are. The friends, your friends are my friends. The more we interact with them outside the official classrooms, the more we engage with them, do things together, just sitting down together, playing over. It could be just normal. Every time must not be all about and quote Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. In a less relaxed atmosphere, in a more relaxed atmosphere, just create time, be with them. Can we talk over these matters, issues that are not academic in that sense of a classroom issues? And finally, I'll say be observant, and then use open-ended question. Open questions are questions that allow you to get more feedbacks from people. So don't just say, will you be in church tomorrow? Yes or no? I hope you'll be in church tomorrow. Becomes a better question. I hope you'll be in church tomorrow. Or don't just give them something they will say yes or no. Ask them questions. How are you feeling? Is better than to say, I hope you are feeling better now. I hope you are feeling better is yes or no. How are you feeling? The person can describe, yes, auntie, uncle, I'm not feeling fine. I'm feeling good. I'm just excited. I'm just this. When you ask open-ended questions, it can help for interrogations and further conversation. At this point, I will allow us, I have seen two hands already at this point to do our questions. If you have questions to ask, it's now time for us to raise the questions as we reflect together. So it's time for our questions and answers. I've seen two hands up. I will start from Mama Gloria. Her hands has been up since. So it's time for you to speak. But I'm aware that earlier now she wasn't able to communicate with us. But if she's not there, then
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for all that you have said. My question is, the teenage ministry is a ministry that is a life-changing ministry. And when we communicate with these teenagers, we need to get their attention, let them understand what you are telling them, believe in what you are telling them, put that in their mind so that they can live out their, it will change their life. How do we know when these teenagers, how can we get when they understand what you are saying? Because from what all you have said, I haven't quite gotten that aspect. I don't know how we can get when these teenagers have understood what you are saying, what have taken in what we have said to live out. That's what we have said will make an input in their lives. That's number one question.
Okay. Yeah, let me respond quickly to that. It's a challenge to know when someone has actually gotten what you've said. I know I feel the pain sometimes that
I've lost you. Hello? Hello? Reverend,
you've
I've
taught
lost,
and the persons who have listened,
Signal.
taught them.
I've
Can you hear
lost
me
you.
now?
I can hear
Your
you.
signal. Yeah, we are losing your signal, but you can go ahead. I think it's network.
Are you referring to me or to the minister?
To the teacher, to our lecturer.
Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I was saying, don't be. There are two things. There are some persons that, as you are teaching, you could see these things evident in their lives, that they have learned you, they have understood you. There are some persons that it will take a longer time for them to live it out. There are certain things I do today, I learned when I was a child, but I never valued it. So the issue of our duty is to teach, is to ensure that they have this knowledge that will help them in their life. Sometimes out of 100, you may have 30% result immediately, and the rest of them, it may take a longer time for you to have the result. But one thing is this, that we must keep pushing, keep teaching them so that they can understand. The other way is also to take a survey. This important, I say this to us, that over a period, for instance, at the end of the year, we should be able to, at our congregational levels, we should be able to ask ourselves, take a review, a quick review. To what extent has this content helped in the lives of these children? This and this you have done. How far has it helped? Because this is a process. Learning is a process. It takes time. That's why if you have checked even the manuals, sometimes some of these topics we repeat them over and over again, because sometimes you may also be shocked that the people you expected to have had a transformation, they have heard it. It's the second time you are saying it, they have a rethink, and it's the third time they now decide to take actions leading to a transformation of their lives. I don't know whether my point is clear to you. Is your question answered now?
Well, Reverend, it's if we go by that way, I think will not be effective. Will not be communicating effectively. I would say that there are so many things like communicating with teenagers. You use the visual, the one they can see. I mean, and then the non-visual. The environment plays a part in communicating with teenagers. The way you, as a teacher, dresses, because while you are talking to a teenager, also talking to all the group she's associated with. So this method of just talking and then talking and talking and talking, I think it is good for the children, but for the teenagers, we need more. We need more technical things to do to be able to communicate with the teenagers. For instance, when we are talking of communication, the Aristotle says that communication is divided into three parts: the ethos, the pathos, and the lutos. Which the other part, the first part, which is the ethos, deals with you, the teacher. So we as a teenage teacher, we have to be ready, prepare our work to tell the teenagers, because these teenagers, before you say something, you have to be prepared, and they have to believe in what you are saying before they leave it out. Thank you.
Now, if you understood, if I understood your question, yes.
Reverend, can I add something here?
Okay.
I think one of the ways to find out whether the teenagers or even the children are understanding you is to involve them, which you have mentioned as part of your presentation. Is it in prayers? Is it on even leading in the Bible study or something? Is to bring them in. They could be the teenage class or teenage church is where they are expected to express themselves. So you come on a Sunday, there is a roster as to who is going to do what. So when they come this Sunday, this group of people are doing this. So the teachers stand by to see what they are doing. In that way, like you said, modeling. So they participate and you watch what they are doing. Where there is need for you to make correction, you make the correction. And in so doing, they are imbibing what you have been passing across to them, or what you are doing among them. And over time, you will see that you begin to separate the people into different groups. These people can do this, these people can do this, this group can do this. I think the greatest or one of the most effective way of understanding whether the children are getting or getting what you are doing is to involve them and let them participate in the class.
That's true. Why I accept all that has been said on this. I just said what we need to note critically is that we have a duty to play in this ministry, that we don't get discouraged, that you have taught and it seems as if they are not living it out, that all we do is a seed. Because sometimes I've been in the institution. I've taught, for instance, there was a time one of my friends visited, and she was like, over these years, you've been talking over these things. I've watched you. And why are these people not changing? I said, listen, these things I'm saying, some of them would do them now, some of them would do them later. So when we teach children, we should bear in mind that it's good to make sure that they live it out before you. Sometimes some of them in their later years, they remember these virtues we have taught them. So I'm saying this so that if you're a teacher and you feel like my effort is not yielding the needed results, that you don't give up. That is just the perspective I felt your question was coming from, and that was why I responded that way. And I'll give Victoria or Siri, Elder, I don't know whether Elder or who, so forgive me, I'm just giving the registered name here. Please, can you speak to your question or raise your question?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Reverend. Can you hear me?
Good evening. I do.
Okay. My question is in two parts. Firstly, in this modern age, digitalized age that we are, is it necessary for a teenage teacher to be youthful in order to be effective, to be updated in order to be effective? You get it now? Is it necessary?
I'll throw the question back to you. But ask you, do you think you can effectively teach a digital people if you are not digitalized?
Exactly. Yes, something like that.
Can you? It becomes difficult. Last time, if you were here last week, we wrestled on this. That one of the major misconception people do is it doesn't take much. To be a teens teacher, let me tell you, even teaching in this age entails a lot. Currently, something that got me excited recently when I'm teaching languages, Greek and Hebrew. And yesterday, I found out how I can teach my Hebrew with my phone. That is, I don't need to go to a blackboard or whiteboard to start writing alphabet, Gimel, Dalet. And this is something I was thinking. And this is the age we are in, that technology has advanced. The children you want to teach, they are in Instagram.
Please.
They are in Instagram. They are on Twitter. They are in different social media platforms. That they have a lot of conversations that are going on there. That if you are not conversant with these realities, you come to the class and tell them something else. They, even in your class, they're having the phones, they are googling. Even the things you teach them, are you aware that even in your presence, they Google online to confirm whether what you're teaching them is correct or not? So
Exactly.
it's challenging. It's challenging. I love the fact that visual aids are things we need to now be very creative. Very creative. We live in an age where a lot of things are packaged. Let me also ask you this: the thing that is making me angry with us as a church, and that's what we need to move, is that, are you aware that our parents, some of us, you send your children to expensive schools where these facilities are there, and you bring them to
Exactly.
a church where the people who are to talk to them cannot even boot a laptop.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying we must, it's something we start thinking. We need to force ourselves a bit. So that it's not when a teenage asks you, Daddy, Auntie, what is the meaning of gigabyte or GB? And you're like, you don't know. Or ask you, what is the meaning of Instagram? What is Instagram? You don't know. What is Twitter? You don't know. What is Facebook? You don't know. You get as in B. And let me tell you, every question a child asks us, and we don't have answer
Yeah.
to, he asks the next person. And whoever that gives answer to the needs of these children becomes their boss. There is no two ways about it. And that's why I believe you know that Google responds to more questions than even the pastors and the imams all put together. Google answers more questions than all the religious leaders.
Yeah.
Can I
And
come in?
we must
Yeah.
Can
we
I
Yeah.
come
must
in?
get to the point
Mm.
where
Reverend, can I
we,
come in?
Can I come
yes,
in?
come in.
I'm
I have
not
many
done.
persons.
I'm not
That
even done.
I am
this
Okay, let
making a
me.
contribution. I'm making a contribution. I'm not asking my question. I want to make
Okay,
a
let's.
contribution.
If it's on this, then go ahead.
the
Uh,
contribution I want to say is that this is why we, the teenage teachers, should prepare very well, prepare our lessons before going to teach. Because in that way, you won't fumble. In that way, you won't.
Yeah, that is one thing. Preparing. The other thing is that you must have a wide. I read a lot. Sorry to say that it's not about praising myself. I try to read because I'm aware that this age, there are a lot of things that come up. You need to be a bank, knowledge bank to them. That when they ask you, don't need to waste much time. If you don't know it right there, you should know where you can get the answer before the next class. So that even if you say, okay, let's make this a point of discussion when I come to class next week. You should be able to find answers to that. By the time they come back, you should be able to give them the answers. So I'm not saying you must become a robot or you must become the Alpha and Omega who knows everything. When it happens, when can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
When it happens, you don't have an answer. Okay, let's hold on this. Can we discuss this? If you have, look at how if you ask me a question I don't know. This is a very interesting question. How come you know about this? Well, it's a very critical issue. Can we discuss this in the next class? You go back, Google online. You must not buy all the books. Google has a lot of resources we can explore. In the next year's resources that is coming up, January resources, the last page of it, I'm going to list all the available sites, e-resources that you can get if you are interested in studying children ministry. So you can get these aids, read them, so that when you meet any of these questions, you'll be able to give a very good answer to that. Thank you. Adobasi, you had a comment, or because time is getting against us, I've comment from here. You can also know when you are communicating to teams by allowing them take responsibility of what is being taught. Sometimes allow things to run the service for that day while you the teacher will supervise them. That's correct. And that person, okay, this is a private. Okay. So any other Obasi, are you still going to make input, or she completes her questions?
Well, let her complete her questions because I know we are running out of time.
Sorry about that. Okay,
I
your
want
next
to make
question.
I want to make a contribution.
Okay.
Can
Go
I?
ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you very much. I am Joga George from Abakaliki St. Peter's.
Okay.
I want to say that every teenage teacher should be dynamic,
That's
should
correct.
be ready to learn, should be very, very current. If you're not going to make impact in the lives of teenagers. If you have a teens church, you will understand that these children are smarter than we are. They read wider than we do. They have too many teachers out there that are contributing to the knowledge they are having at present. So we need to bend down and study. We have to study before going to the class. Otherwise, they might embarrass us. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you. That's a very clear distance. I agree with you in total. The next question, or the next person, I have you just had said something. Is that hand still up? Ejuka George. Mama.
Yes, I want to ask a question. Why
Okay.
are Presbyterians, parents especially, not interested in the teens ministry? I'm saying this because we had a seminar today, Understanding the 21st Century Teens, and it was meant to be for parents. They didn't come. We had just about 2 parents. It was a very, very educative seminar. I don't know why this happens.
I saw your flyers 2 days ago, I think so.
Yes. We had e-flyers. Yeah. We advertised this seminar so widely, but we were surprised that parents didn't come. I don't know why. Can you help
us? Please, our lecturer, before you
okay.
come in, there are some things all of us also need to rub minds. My sister, I want us to see it this way. Before, we were used to everything is evangelist, Sunday school teacher, this and that. And so because of it, so many of parents were not getting involved. What we are doing right now is a kind of reorientation. There are some of us who used to even force parents and we take their children to scripture union camps. And when we come to church to teach, it's as if where that is children thing. Parents has nothing to do with it. But as all of us are getting involved now, we are going to see a very serious reawakening. I am no more a teens or children's teacher for now, but I was for so many years ago. And I am now here because I know there is a need to be part of this training. There's a need to also get what it takes to also talk to people in my parish, people in my presbytery, and even when I'm talking to elders and leaders at various levels. Like as you were just talking, I've been searching. I'm involved in research. I'm involved in dynamic technology. But I was shocked. My children taught me how to do voice search just with a voice. Why am I talking this way? Is because I have been involved. Let's just keep trying. If there were only 2 parents today, mark you me, what you did, what you prepared, what you presented, those 2 people will tell too many people and they begin to ask for that program again. As they begin to apply it, you see that you have more parents even telling you, please, let's have another time for training. So that is why I decided to come in before waiting for our national coordinator. Thank you.
Thank you for that intervention. That was very wonderful. I think I agree with you that don't relent. This everything you do in this ministry, note that it's a seed that they will germinate. Even someone today was telling me, coordinator, don't get discouraged over the programs you've marshaled out. I just laughed because everything, even this meeting we are doing, is a seed. By the time you may see the number, this is not the number we are in the whole ministry. We are more than this, but it's a seed. The thing is this: by the next time we are doing, I'm sure we get more and more people coming in. So I'll say to us, don't give up. Repackage, launch out, get the people testimonials. People go around and tell them. The other thing is this: that a lot of false parents don't even know the troubles we are having. Because if we know the weight of raising a child in our own world today, then you will be committed to any resources needed to help you to do that. I tell you this without mixing words. The biggest trouble today is not about getting married and getting children. The biggest challenge Christians have is facing their children to remain in faith even when they have gone. And if you really understand the weight of this, then I can say to you, anytime, anywhere, that parents should have been more committed. And this, for me, one way is for us pastors to emphasize on that. I was happy during the men's week. They called me to give a talk on the place of value in building a Christian home. By the time I finished, every place was like, wow, because I told them, some of you abandon our children, you don't care about the values you are living. I asked a very challenging question to all who were there. If you are no longer there and your child is asked, what did he learn from you? What is it? And all these things boil down to parents are no longer able to teach their children, willing, not even able, willing is something that is from home coming to the church. So don't be discouraged. We will still push. One of the things I'm hoping to do from the national desk is for us to produce resources and place in the hands of our ministers and our elders, members, men and women, so that by the time they start reading, like one of the future materials, hopefully by next year we'll start that, is the role of parents in children ministry, something of that nature, that conversation, so that parents will know that this thing, they leave it for us as if it's our own duty. They have a long role to play. And until they understand it, then it will be very difficult for us. Let me not speak too long because the time is up. Sorry. Now we have a better George. Your hand is
Bishop.
up.
Oh. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome on board.
I wanted to add to give a suggestion how to get parents to be interested in the ministry. Like what we do, we have a register where we have the parents' name, their phone number, their birth. During their birthdays, the teachers call them, wish happy birthday. In that way, this is from the teenage church. They are interested. Now, you see more parents coming, more parents even confiding in us about their children, and it's helping us a lot. So if we get that communication link with the parents,
yes. I think that's a good suggestion. It's a good suggestion whereby you keep find events in their lives that is important to them and identify with them. The other way around, when we have a call, they can identify with us. That's basically, it's a game changer in human relationship. I agree with you on that. Bear George, please don't mind to speak to us now. I've seen 3 hands up. Bear George, Carlo Wanko Obasi, you can speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Reverend, thank you so much for putting this up. I just want to make a little contribution, basically a suggestion on the question she asks, how we can incorporate the parents into what is happening in the teens ministry. In my parish, there's something we normally do. Most of the parents, we try to bring them in, maybe give them a particular topic once in a Sunday for them to come and handle, for them to come and teach the things. When they come there, at least they will be able to know what is happening in the church. They will be able to know how their children are equally performing in the church. So by that way, they are knowing what's happening in the teens ministry. Then secondly, another thing I also want to add is one of the tips you made mention of in one of the tips in communicating with the teens. What I want to add there is that we also need to do what we call inclusion. There was a seminar we had in our parish, and we asked children, what are the things that you don't like teachers are doing and parents are doing? They made mention of child preference, that a teacher would come and say it is the child that will do all the things. Maybe during quiz, they will select this person, next day they will also select the same person. When they're having children program, and they will also be picking one particular set of children. So children are not happy with that. So if you can also practice what is called inclusion, trying to include all the child and test all of them, it will go a long way. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. That's a good point. Inclusiveness is key to having everyone participate. I think that is noted. I will update that as part of recommendations from this conversation. Now I've seen ID Mama ID, your hand was up before now. A better judge, your hand is up. If you are available, speak to us, or we now give okay. Yes, I can hear you, Mama ID.
Good evening, everybody. Atubam, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, this is ID James E. Aquasinod. My hand was up because I wanted to respond and contribute to what Mama Iberis, the question she asked about parents not getting involved. But the last speaker just took the words right out of my mouth, involving the parents. Let's get parents on board, bring them in, let them understand what the children are doing too. Even when you're having those kind of programs, get them involved. Get children to understand why their parents need to come in there. And also speak to the parents if you must. It doesn't just end at bringing out the flyers and
Okay, we've lost her the voice. Now, Mary Okwara, please.
Yes.
Unmute yourself and speak. Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mary Okwara from Lekki Parish. I'm going to make a suggestion because I'm really, it's as a teacher and also as my children are still below 10 years old. Okay. So we're just coming out of toddlerhood. And so I'm just wondering, in getting the children or the parents more involved in raising the children,
giving out the information, go the steps and order that we didn't use.
Hello. Sorry. So in getting the children, in getting the parents more involved, is it not possible that there be like the children desk coordinator organizes, like how you do discipleship school, but instead of discipleship, you're doing parenting course, especially starting with younger parents, because I bet you many of us, especially young parents, and even sometimes especially parents that are just getting teenagers, but many of us are asking these questions, and like you pointed out, sometimes we end up looking for, just searching for any resources from anywhere we can to help us or to help us understand what we can do. But if the church makes it as part of a regular ministry, it might start at small, but if it's part of a regular ministry, just like how you do marriage, before
counseling
marriage
section, yes.
Yes, counseling session. Like, can there be parenting session for? We can start. If the church can start with young parents that we know have just gotten married or are just having their first child, and then you can now later on break it down to teenagers, younger children, because there's a lot of cries for help. It's not, the church is like, as much as we want to do, because of the way you were saying, that the children will be reacting, or you cannot correct. I don't know how to explain. You see these children once a week, but the problem, yes, you see these children once a week, and if like you said, sometimes 50 in a class. you can only make a connection with one person as so far. But if the church helps parents from the beginning and makes it a regular thing so that they will know that it's all right to ask questions about how to bring up your children. It's all right to ask, just as we encourage them to seek counseling for marriage. We should also encourage us as parents to seek counseling for parenting. I don't know, because sometimes we don't know the things we teach them or the things the church might teach us about parenting also affects how, as parents, we also interact with our schools and make decisions basically for our family life in general. So basically my suggestion is just as how we do counseling sessions, and discipleship and catechism classes and all that regularly, I think parenting should also be a regular ministry in our churches. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that input. It's a good point you've raised, and I will want us to pick that conversation. Just bear in mind that I've noted it. We'll do a conversation on that and then find chat in direction. Thank you so much for bringing that to the table.
Your time is running out.
3 minutes to go. Yes. A better judge, you are still there. You've not spoken. In the absence of any other comment, I will just simply say to every one of us, thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you for all your input. One of the things is that you may not know all these conversations you have, the point raised are well noted, and they're going to form actions as we move forward. Like I've taken note of the need for us to learn from one another. There's something that I would like to put on board. If you have a question on issues in your parish, you feel like I don't know how to handle it, you can chat it to me. If you don't want to be known, just send it to me privately. I will post it on the platform and I say, this is a challenge I'm having. Tell me how you have done it in your parish. Take, for instance, I'm having problems with organizing. The children are making noise frequently. How do you solve it? Then tell me from your own parish. So we can learn from one another. We can open up that kind of conversation, not just this 1 hour, 13 minutes or 15 minutes conversation. We can gather our strength. And I'm always glad to say this to us, that in our midst, we have people with diverse experiences working with children. And like I've always said to people who have come close to me, that my duty is simple. I'm the National Children Desk Coordinator. And my task is to harness all these energies together. So I welcome you on board. As we finish today, from now till next Saturday when we meet again, feel free, raise questions, send to me, and I guarantee you that you'll get responses. Thank you so much, and God bless you. The other thing I want to say to us is that our children have tried. We have gotten a good number of essays for this essay competition that is ongoing, but there have been series of calls from several quarters appealing for us to make an extension, so that those of them who were busy with the exams can put up their articles. So we'll push it to the end of the month. So tell your children, your teenagers, to do their articles and send to us. Later this night, I'll be able to do
Thank you so
officially
much.
a memo to that. So please, let's encourage them. One thing you may not know, I've read some of these articles. They are very, very engaging, very interesting. I felt excited last night when I was doing a response to the emails I've received. And I felt very happy to see that we have creative minds. We have people who have a bit understanding of our system, and I felt happy. I want to clap for all of you who have been laboring in this direction. I say to you, your labors are not in vain. May God bless us. May God keep us. May God sustain us. May God uphold us. Even as we go to church tomorrow, may the God of grace grant us grace to teach, to impart knowledge, to bring children to Him, teenagers who will know Him and who will love Him, who will passionately stand for Him in this changing world. May God bless and keep us. May His face rise upon us, and may He grant us peace. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Good
Amen.
night.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Good
God
night.
bless
Thank
you.
you.
God bless
See
you.
you
Good
on
night.
Thank
Good
you,
Saturday.
night.
everybody. God bless you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good night. God bless you.
God bless you, sir.
Amen.
God bless you.
Good night. God bless you.
All right, sir. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Ah.